Hello, my beautiful students. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you today? I hope that you are pretty fine. Well, let's start with this that I have here for you in order that we can finish with the topic that we were learning during this week. Do you remember what was the topic that we were learning during this week? Well, actually, yes. We were talking about conditionals. Yes, I know that you have been suffering with this, but take it easy. We almost finished with this. Remember that this is going to be super useful for you. Well, let's start with this class that we have for today. This is not the presentation. Nah, yes, it is a presentation. It is a presentation. Sorry, the date was wrong. Very good. Let's continue with this. So, yesterday, well, first of all, as I was saying, welcome one more time to this amazing opportunity that we have to learn English. Please remember, if you have any question, any situation, let me know and I'm going to be helping you, promise. Remember that we need to be practicing our English every single day in order to get better results. Well, Friday, let's start with our classes today. And we are going to start with this. Hello, one more time. Here we are. Okay, let's start with our class for today. And do you remember that yesterday we were talking about the second conditionals? Yes or not? Tell me, what do you remember about second conditionals? Well, something like that, Very well. So let me help you to remind some of the situations that we were working with yesterday. Well, yesterday we were having a general review about zero and first conditional. We were saying now that zero conditionals, it's going to be for a condition in the present with a result in present, no? My first conditional is when I'm going to be giving a condition in present, but my result is going to be in future. But I can use modal verbs like can, could, might, right? But my result is going to be in future. I can use my word when instead of if. And also yesterday we started to talk about this. Ooh, what is this? Well, actually, it is the second conditional. And we were giving some examples like this. Oh, if I was rich, I could travel the world. Or mixing the sentences, right? I would travel the world if I was rich. Was rich? Oh, we were saying that it is like a kind of strange to hear this, but everything has an explanation. So, what is going to be the second conditional, or what the second conditional is? Well, here it comes. Let's remember that the second conditional is going to be used when we are talking about simple past after in, and then we are going to be using the word good. Okay, so this is going to be the structure. If plus my past simple, my situation or my condition is going to be in past, and my result is going to be like a future. Okay, if I won the lottery, I go buy a big house. I'm dreaming about that. Okay, it's about when you are imagining something in the future, a possibility. If I met the Queen of England, I will say hello. Ooh, it's like a possibility in the future. Here we have this. Let me show you. Second condition. it's, as I was telling you, we are going to be making use of our second conditional when we talk about an imaginary situation in the future, but also it could be also in present. Our structure, if past simple plus present and with my good. In few words with present conditional, I can use good or I can use cool. Okay, remember imaginary situations in the present or future. And yesterday we were talking about these examples. If I won $1 million, I could buy a new car. If I were you, I would quit smoking. If I were the president, I would lower taxes. Oh, I'm imagining that if I had the opportunity to be or to do something in the future or in this present, I will be trying to do something different, something that I believe that is correct, something that I am dreaming with, okay? They will stay longer if they had more time. They will stay longer if they had more time. Yes, remember, this is my result and here it is my condition. Or I can say if they had more time, they will stay longer. That's the same. If I won $1 million, I could stop working. Or I can switch them. I could stop working if I won $1 million. I'm dreaming about a possibility and the future and what could I do with that possibility. If I had more free time, I could travel around the world. I could travel around the world if I had more free time. I'm dreaming about that. I'm imagining the possibilities that I could have if something could happen in the future and what I will be doing with that. Okay, that's what we were working with yesterday. And we were saying that we can use good, cool, or might. Okay, remember that we can be making use of different modal verbs. Do you remember modal verbs? Excellent. Those are going to be the modal verbs. Great. Well, let's continue. Good, cool, might. Plus my verb. If John had a car, he wouldn't need to take the bus. Remember, as you can see here, my verb is in past. And my possibility is in a modal future. If John had a car, he wouldn't need to take the bus. If it weren't raining, it is in past participle, past progressive, sorry, but it's in past. We could take a walk outside. If I won the lottery, I might quit my job. Oh, I'm dreaming about a possibility in the future, or maybe in the present, at present, depending. Okay, and we were talking about this. Imagine if, as I told you, we are talking about our imagination all the time. Imagine if, what could you do? Let me ask you. What could you do if you had the opportunity to travel to other part of the world? Tell me. What would you do if you had the opportunity to travel to other part of the world? Tell me. Or for example, what could your mother do if you gave her a ticket to Canada? Yes, because I can be asking about you or about other people. What would you do? We are using our imagination. We are imagining what it could be happening. Where would you go? What would you say? What would you buy? What would you eat? What would you listen if you have the opportunity to? What would your mother say if you gave her a ticket or if you gave her roses? Imagining money, troubles, I don't know. Here I have more examples. Sorry, if I had vegetarian options, I wouldn't eat you. That is what the cat is saying. Sorry, but if I had vegetarian options, I wouldn't eat you. My first clause is in past. My result is in future with good or golden. Remember that I can be mixing affirmative and negative sentences. Oh, sorry, but if I had time, I wouldn't be with you no matter what. If I had vegetarian options, I would eat lettuce and tomatoes. You can say whatever you want, but the unique situation is that we are going to be following these rules. If you could travel back in time, where would you go? Ooh, that is a question that I have for you. If you could travel back in time, where would you go? Yes, this is my first part and this is my second part. This is my condition and this is my result. My result and my condition with if. If you could travel back in time, using my imagination about doing something else, where would you go? What would you do? Who would you visit? That is how we are going to be using our second conditional. Imagination, that is your creation. Another one. Jack wants to buy a house, but he can't do this because he doesn't have any money. Let's use your imagination. Imagine that Jack is saying, if I had a lot of money, I could buy a big house. Oh, he's imagining something in the future. If I had a lot of money, I would buy a big house. Ooh. That is how we are going to be making use this. If I had a lot of money, I could buy a plane. I could buy a house with a swimming pool. Or the opposite, if I had a lot of money, I wouldn't buy a big house. I would travel around the world. That is how we are going to be using our second conditional. If I had, yes, but I don't understand. Remember, my condition, my verb is in past, my result, good, cool, might, something. Because remember that we are speaking in future, super future. You are imagining something. Now, remember, we are going to be making use of our second conditional, or the second conditional is used when we want to talk about an imaginary situation or about imaginary situations or events. Okay, imagination, as I told you, imagination. And here we have some situations here. For example, if people were responsible with the COVID-19 or COVID-19, they will use a mouth cover or a mask, talking about some topics of our real life, no? If high school students were in the school, They could share their experiences about COVID-19. COVID-19. COVID. Okay, as you can see, I am making use here of Google and cool because it is a possible future related to what I was or about what I am dreaming. If people were responsible with this virus, they will be they will use a mouth cover. If high school students were in school, they could share their experiences about the virus, no? If my father had a Mustang car, he could go anywhere easily. It's imagination. I'm imagining. It is a hypothetical situation. If my parents had a new house, we couldn't live there. Oh, because we already have one. If someone found the COVID-19 cure, people weren't worried, okay? People weren't worried. Excellent. So my conditions are in past, but my result is going to be on my future. Good, cool, might. It's like mixing different tenses, past with future in order to create something. That is how we used to use this. Easy or difficult? These are some examples. No, remember, we are going to be talking or using our second conditional to talk about unreal situations. Could you give me an example of an unreal situation? What could it be? What do you think? What could it be, that one? It's hard to say it, right? For example, if I had the possibility to, I don't know, to study something, I will study medicine because I believe that I'm pretty good on that, no? That is a possibility. That is something unreal, maybe because, well, it is not unreal, but it doesn't mean that maybe it can be real because you are using your imagination. We can use other kind of models, but remember that when we are talking about imaginary or unreal situations, my condition in past, my result in future with good and cool. That is how this works. And if I won the lottery, I will buy a house. That's cool and that's great. If I didn't win the lottery, I wouldn't buy a house. What could you do if you won the lottery? I could buy a house. Everybody wants to buy a house. That's why we are having these examples. Affirmative, negative, interrogative. If I won the lottery, I would buy a house. If I didn't win the lottery, I wouldn't buy a house. Ooh. What could you do if you won the lottery? My result and my condition. What could you do? I could buy a house. I couldn't buy a house. I could buy a car. Okay. But remember that we can be switching this. I will buy a house if I won the lottery. I wouldn't buy a house if I didn't win the lottery. I didn't. Yes, because remember that we are speaking or talking in past. Or we can say, if I didn't win the lottery, I wouldn't buy a house. If I won the lottery, I could buy a house. The same that I have here and the same that I have here is what we are going to be having. We can be changing, or I can say, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't buy a house. If I didn't win the lottery, I will try again. You can be mixing, you can be using this as you wish, but remember that it has to make sense and your structure has to be correct. That is the situation that we are going to be facing, and that is going to be one of the most important things that we are going to be following. That is how it works, okay? Past simple, and your condition is going to be in future. If I get that jacket, I could go to the supermarket. I don't know. That's how we are going to be working with. And as you can see here, I will show you different examples. Why? Because it is important that you can understand what you are saying. And it is important that you can understand what other people is saying. And it is important that you can understand how we are going to be making use of all these sentences and situations that I have now. It's because I'm having some situations with my computer here, but it's okay. So if I were you, I would want to be a doctor. I'm just imagining. I'm just imagining. If I knew the answer, I would tell it to you. If I knew the answer, I will tell it to you. But I don't know it. I don't know the answer. That's why I'm not going to be telling you. If Mary had time, she could visit her boyfriend. She's imagining about this situation. Ooh. But maybe she doesn't have the time in order to do it. Or I can say, if I were you, I wouldn't want to be a doctor. If Mary had time, she wouldn't visit her boyfriend. He would visit, I don't know, his mother, her mother, sorry. No? If Mary had time, if I understood what the teacher said, I could tell you. I could tell you if I understood what the teacher said. We can be switching, and remember, past with the consequence in future, the consequence in future with my condition in past. If she weren't ill, she would go to the school. If she were ill, she wouldn't go to school. If I were a Sherman, I would offer new and different ideas. I will offer new and different ideas if I were a Sherman. If I weren't a Sherman, I wouldn't offer new and different ideas. I wouldn't offer new and different ideas if I were a Sherman. That's strange, but the structure is correct. If I were 22 years old, I would travel the world. I would travel the world if I were 22 years old. If I were you, I would not do this. I would not do this if I were you. If you participated in the election, people would choose you. If I didn't have to work, I would come to the announcement part with you. I wouldn't come to the announcement part with you if I had to work. Can you see the difference between all these sentences? What do you think? It's not as difficult as we believe, right? Or what do you think? so kind of no. It is what we need to be identifying what is where we are going to be using our past or future and so on. Actually, we are going to be practicing with some exercises. Don't get desperate. We are going to do it. Don't worry, don't worry. These are just some examples that I have for you. No, if I were a chairman, I will offer new and different ideas. It is when you are imagining a different future, when you are imagining different things, when you are thinking or talking about imaginary situations. But it is important that you know that this is going to be the structure and how we are going to be using it. Okay, these were some sentences, right? And for example, here I have these pictures for you. More casual. Do you remember that we were saying, oh, if I were, because we have some situations with was, that's a kind of exchange. Well, let me tell you, grammatically correct was and were are okay, but the correct one is were. If I were you, but as I told you, you are going to have the opportunity to listen to this. If I was you, for me, that sounds pretty strange because I know that the correct way is to say if I were you, because everything is going to be changing here. But in this case, let me tell you that, as I was telling you, was is possible, but it's different. And was, if you use was, it is going to be sounding like more casual, okay? More casual, that is going to be the difference, more casual. If I was you, I would go to the doctors. More formal. If I were you, I would go to the doctors. That is the difference. More formal and correct. More polite. If I were you. More casual, a little kind of informality was. If I was you. If I were you. Okay, that is how we are going to be using the verb was or were in past. Okay, most of the people used to use this. If I were you, but you can use if I was you. That, as I told you, it's a kind of more informal, but it works. It is understandable. And yes, indeed, you can use it. And remember that we were talking about these conditionals. If she had a time, she would go where? If she had time, she would go to the gym. It is the usual form that we use, would, the modal verb would. If she had time, she would go to the gym. Okay. But also, as I told you, we can be making use of different words. She might, she could, or should. As in the first conditional, well, yes, kind of, but we are going to be having some differences here. Usual form, good. But if you want to specify some situations, we can use might, could, or should. For example, if she had time, she might go to the gym. If she had time, she could go to the gym. If she had time, she should go to the gym. What is the difference? Here you have them. If she had time, she might go to the gym. I'm not pretty sure about that. Remember that might is going to be as not as strong as have to and so on. If she had time, she could go to the gym. It is something that is possible, something that she can do. If she had time, she should go to the gym. You are suggesting something. You are giving your opinion. You are giving your advice related to something. That is how we are going to be using could with the formal ways. Might, not pretty sure, could, it is possible, really, and she should. You are giving some suggestions and advices. She could go to a gym. She could study more. She might study more. She could study more. She should study more. That is how we are going to be making use of this. Or for example, I could be living in London if it wasn't so expensive. Remember, if it weren't so expensive, but with was, it's like more informal. I would be living in London if it wasn't so expensive. I would be traveling to Canada in this moment if I were finding the tickets. That is how, and here you have some examples about second condition in London. Was it easy or difficult? Because remember that the second conditional is going to be for something imaginary that we are going to be talking about. Okay. Let's start with this that I have here for you. Let's practice with some exercises in order to realize how we are going to be using it. It is going to be pretty simple. Don't worry. Okay, here we go. Excellent. Second conditional, just the second conditional, okay? There are 10 questions that we are going to be answering in order to continue with our third conditional. And guess what? You will be free. I know that you can do it. I'm a kind of serious because this is important, okay? These topics are super important. So we are going to complete the questions, okay? What would you do if there any earthquake? Earthquake, terremoto, earthquake. What would you do if there, what? I'm going to help you. What would you do if there were, remember, my verb has to be in past. Number 2. Which sentence is not correct? She could go out more if she couldn't. If she could have more free time. If we live in that house, we could get that job. If I were you, I discuss the situation with my boss. No lo estoy diciendo fuerte porque te toca leerlo. You can. A veces lo leo yo y ahí queda. No, vamos a intentar leerlo. She'd go out more if she couldn't have more free time. Sure. If we lived in that house, we could get a dog. If I were you, I didn't discuss the situation with the boss. What do you think? Let's try. So what is it? She could go. If we live in that house, we could get a dog. If I were you, I would discuss the situation. Is it difficult? Let's try one by one. She had go out more if she could have more free time. That is not correct. because she had or she could and another goal? No, we cannot have two goals here in here. If I had more money, I don't know what, that television. If I had more money, that television. If I had more money, I would buy that television, because if I had more money, is in past, your result has to be in future. Which sentence is not true of the second conditional? It describes an imaginary situation. It describes what will happen in the future. You can use it for daydreaming and wishing. That is incorrect, because yes, it describes an imaginary situation. And also you can use it if you daydreaming and wishing. You can be having some dreams and some desires, some wishes, some daydreamings. And you can use it for daydreaming and wishing. It describes an imaginary situation. Let's go with our next. Which reply is correct? What is the correct reply? Which reply is correct? Could you help me fix the car? I could, if I could know how to do it. If I had time, I could. I could if I knew how. Which one is going to be the correct one? If I had time, I will. I couldn't if I know how to do it. I could. Remember, could you help me fix the car? Well, I could in the future. I could if I knew how. The situation is that I don't know. My result and my condition. This is my condition. Look at this. If he more careful, he couldn't keep breaking things. The verb is be. What could it be? Yes, if he were more careful, remember it has to be past. If he were more careful, he couldn't keep breaking things. In past and my result in present. I go to the wedding if I wasn't so busy, sorry. I would go to the wedding if I wasn't so busy. I could go. Mi resultado primero. I could go to the wedding if I wasn't so busy. That is my way how we are going to be completing this answer. Next, we could be more successful if he, my verb have, if he had a bit more business sense. My conditional is going to be past. My result in present. If my result is first, my conditional is going to be next. ¿Te quiere traer esta cosa o qué? Lento se escucha. If she, I don't know what, English better, she'd be able to get a really good job. She good. If she spoke English better, she'll be able to get a really good job. Next, If we had more staff, my condition, we what? We will be able, or we'd be able to take on more projects, okay? If we had more staff, we could be able to take on more projects. Excellent. My condition is in past. My result is in future with will. I am using a contraction. Yes, it's okay. It's cool. 4 of 10. Little by little, little by little. How did you feel? That was the second conditional. Was it easy or difficult? Easy, that was easy. Come on, I know that you can do it. My first and my second conditional. Second conditional, when we are daydreaming, or when we are wishing something, or when we are what? Talking about imaginary situations that could happen in the present or in past. But now we are going to continue with the third conditional. The third conditional, oh my goodness, I'm dying. No. It was a kind of tired blood. Now we are going to be finishing with this. Don't worry. This is going to be pretty fast, because let me tell you that the first conditional and second conditionals talk about the future. But now with the third conditional, we are going to be talking about the past. Can you believe it? First and second conditional, future, because our zero conditional is for present. Zero conditional, present. First and second conditional, we are going to be touching the future. We are going to be talking in future. Okay. And we talk about a condition in the past that didn't happen. We are going to be making use of this third conditional in order to talk about a situation that didn't happen in the past. For that reason, there is not any possibility for that situation could be happening nowadays. No. We are going to be talking about the past, but with certain regrets, okay? We cannot change anything. The third conditional is also like a dream, but with no possibility of the dream coming true. Not possibility for the dream coming true. Yes, because with our second conditional, we can say, if I won the lottery, I will buy a house. You are dreaming about future. Yes, but it is possible. Imagine that you won the lottery. Imagine that you are the president. Imagine that you can have the opportunity to travel around the world. It's possible. With the first conditional, it is super possible. With the second conditional, it's like, yes, possible in future, possible in past. But with my third conditional, we are not going to be having hopes. We don't have hopes here. Okay, for example, last week you bought a lottery ticket, but you didn't win. Oh, what a pity. So with this example, please, my amazing guys, notice, please try to notice that we are thinking about an impossible past condition. You don't win the lottery. So the condition was not true. True and particular, okay? You did not win the lottery. So the condition was not true. And that particular condition can never be true because it is finished. What is that? Okay. Here we go. We use the present perfect tense when we are going to be talking about impossible past conditions. We use would have, plus past participle to talk about the impossible past result. And it is super important. It is like an important thing about the third conditional that says that both the condition and the result are impossible now. With the third condition, you are going to be talking about impossibilities. Okay, it is lost. Let it go. Let it go. Don't get here the idea of that you can be doing something else. No, we cannot do anything to respect. If Maria, well, the last day, if Maria bought a ticket for a play and she didn't go, ooh, what could it be? What could it be my condition? She could have been there. Okay, I had won the lottery. I could have bought a car. I had won the lottery. I could have bought a car. Okay, it is something impossible to repeat it. You cannot repeat it. You cannot repeat it. It is impossible. It is not going to be happening again. That's the situation. If I had won the lottery, I would have bought a car. But it is not possible. You are regretting about that. Okay, with the second modal, the second conditional, we were talking about an imaginary situation, but at the end, that could be possible or not. But with the third conditional, it is a reality that you are not going to be having another opportunity to do what you were doing. Imaginary situations in the past. If I had got a gold medal, I would have been happy, but I'm sorry because you didn't want a gold medal. So now you will decide if you would have been happy or if you wouldn't have been sad. Okay, if I had won a golden medal, I will be happy. If I had met Susan last week, I would have given her the book. But it didn't happen and it cannot happen again. That's the reason why we are going to be making use of the third conditional. Okay, si yo me hubiera ganado la lotería, yo habría estado feliz, pero no puedo. Ya pasó, no puedo ir y recoger el cachito de lotería, es algo que tú ya hiciste, que ya pasó. El segundo condicional es algo que apenas vas a hacer, pero ya el third conditional ya no hay vuelta de hoja, ya no hay regreso para este sufrimiento que vas a estar enfrentando, because we are going to be talking about regrets. Estamos hablando acerca de arrepentimientos, in few words, algo que ya está en el pasado y no puedo hacer nada para arreglarlo, solamente lamentarme, ¿no? For example, if I had met Susan last week, I would have given her the book. If something that I did in the past will help you, that's good. But remember, if we are talking about double past, have been and had got, for example, nothing to do. Okay, remember that is going to be our third conditional, where we are going to be talking about some unreal situations that we were having in the past. That is how we are going to be making use of the third conditional. Okay, imaginary situations in the past. Second conditional, imaginary situations in the future, something that it could be possible. But in the third conditional, forget about hopes. We are not going to be having any hope here related to this one. Sorry. If the weather had been good, we could have gone water skiing, but I'm sorry, that's already in the past. I cannot do anything related to that. Or for example, if you had got or gotten, if you have gotten up earlier, you would have caught the earlier train. But I'm sorry, there's nothing to do with respect to the, respecting that. I'm so sorry. That is the third conditional. Zero conditional, a situation that it's a condition with a result in the present, okay? For facts, for scientific facts, for real things and situations, will, the first conditional, an action in the future, a result in the future, okay? Second conditional, for imaginary situations that maybe they could be possible. Third conditional, for imaginary situations in the past that we cannot be changing. Okay, that is the third conditional. And here I have some examples for you. Ooh, if I had studied harder in the past, I would have passed my exam. If I had done that in the past, but unfortunately, I'm just regretting because I cannot do anything. I'm sorry. It is in the past and you are dreaming about another possibility, but in the past, like trying to change some situations, no? If I had studied harder, I would have passed my exam. But how we are going to be making use of this? Well, my condition is going to be my present simple plus would or wouldn't. For example, if I don't know, if I had gone to Canada, I would have visited Toronto. No, if I had met, if I had written that letter, my boyfriend would have received it. Si hubiera escrito esa carta en el pasado, mi novio la habría recibido, pero no lo hice, entonces no hay nada que hacer. We are not going to be doing this. Or for example, if I had known it was your birthday, I would have bought you a present. A lot of contractions. Yes, you can use contractions. I had, its contraction is it. I would, the contraction is D. How I am going to notice the difference? Because of the context. The context is going to be helping you a lot. If I cannot say I would known. No. My verb is past participle, so I need to use had. I had have. No, because my verb is not in present participle. In past participle, sorry. Okay, so my verbs has to be in past participle plus my I'd. If I don't have any verbs here and I have here a present, well, maybe that could it be. Okay, but remember, had, the contraction, or I could, the contraction. Yeah, but they are super similar. How I'm going to know how to use each one of them? As I'm telling you, depending the context, you cannot say aquí, if I would know, because my grammar rule says this, that I need to use my past perfect plus my present conditional with would, could, might. No, I had known, yo he sabido, I had known, it was your birthday, era tu cumpleaños. If I had known, si hubiera sabido que era tu cumpleaños, I would have bought you a present, but I'm sorry, you cannot do anything in order to fix that because it is now in the past. If it had been Friday, I would have been working. If it had been Friday, I would have been working. Si hubiera sido viernes, habría estado trabajando. If it had been, remember, my condition with my past participle always had written, had gone, had been. The verb in participle, it's okay. But my condition is going to be with past perfect. If it had been Friday, I would have been working. My condition with good. Something, I'm imagining something in the past, but I cannot do anything to the respect. Or if I had studied harder, I would have passed my exam. De hecho, utilizamos esto para arrepentimientos. Arrepentimientos, sí. No, entonces nos estamos arrepintiendo de cosas que no hicimos o que sí hicimos en el pasado y la consecuencia que podrían haber tenido, pero que pues con la pena se nos fue la oportunidad y ya no pudimos, ¿no? For example, if it had started to rain, past participle, the picnic would have been canceled. Imagínate, si hubiera empezado a llover, el picnic habría sido cancelado. Oh, no. Oh, no, we are not going to be saying that. If it had started to rain, pasado participio, if it had started to rain, the picnic have been canceled. First one and the other one, yes. The picnic would have been canceled if it had started to rain. That is how we are going to be using it. Our third conditional. Remember that the sentences that we were learning about are about a hypothetical situation in the past. It is possible that the condition will happen because it refers on the past. It's impossible. It is impossible that that situation could happen because we are talking about past. Okay. Excellent. Don't worry. And this is how we are going to be, and this is the structure. Ya sé que tengo mucha la teleestructura, pero me preocupa tanto. Tu if es que de cierto, así de cajón, ¿no? Plus your past perfect, tu perfecto, tu pasado perfecto, if, más tu pasado perfecto, y tu consecuencia va a ir con would y tu have, pasado participio. If the team had played better, they would have won. Si el equipo hubiera jugado mejor, ellos habrían ganado. It's impossible. We cannot make it true because it is something impossible. Why it is impossible? Because it is in the past. We cannot do something related to that. That's why the third conditional is going to go for regrets. Es para arrepentirnos, arrepentimientos, because we cannot do something related with that in the past. On the second conditional, yes, because we are dreaming while we are awake, and maybe we have the opportunity that what we are saying could be comes true. But with the third conditional, no, I'm so sorry, no. You cannot do anything. The main clause can also be at the beginning of the sentence. In this case, the comma is not used as I was telling you. They would have won if the team had played better. Acuérdate que si tu consecuencia va primero y tu condicional después, entonces ya no le ponemos coma. Pero si primero está mi condicional y después mi consecuencia, sí escribimos la coma. Okay. If I had seen her, I would have told her to call you. Si la hubiera visto, le habría dicho que te llamara. Pero no la vi, entonces, pues con la pena no puedo decirle, ¿no? If I had studied, I would have passed the test. Si hubiera estudiado, habría pasado el examen, pero no estudié y con la pena ya reprobaste porque ya no puedes hacer nada al respecto. That is the third conditional. If Lucy hadn't moved to another city, we would have been friends. Si Lucy no se hubiera movido a otra ciudad, we would have been friends. Hubiéramos sido amigas. That is the situation. Oh my goodness. Remember the conditionals. The third conditional is going to we are going to use it in order to express a hypothetical result to a past given situation. If he had known that, he would have decided differently. Jane would have found a new job if she had stayed in Boston. But it is in past. We cannot do something related to that. We can say, first of all, he would have decided differently if he had known that. Jane would have found a new job if she had stayed in Boston. If Jane had stayed in Boston, she would have found a new job. Oh. What do you think about these examples? If you had studied more, you would have passed your exams. You would have passed your exams if you had studied more. If we hadn't missed the bus, we couldn't have been late. We couldn't have been late if we hadn't missed the bus. If I had known you, if I had known you needed help, I would have helped you. I would have helped you if I had known you needed help. But it is something in past that we cannot be fixing. I'm so sorry. And here you have more examples. If it had rained, you would have gotten wet. You would have gotten well if it had rained. You would have gotten wet if it had rained. You would have passed your exam if you had worked harder. You had worked harder. If you had worked harder, you would have passed your exam. I would have believed you if you hadn't lied to me before. If you hadn't lied to me before, I would have believed you. The same but in different order. The same but in different order. The same but in different order. That is the situation that we are going to be facing with the conditionals. I feel sad related to this because it is going to be for when you are like, oh, better times, but we cannot change. Remember, zero conditionals, facts, true situations, present and present. The conditional is in present, and the result is in present. First conditional, oh, for situations that are going to be having some results in future, present and future, okay? Second conditional, imaginary situations that could happen in the future or in the present, okay? Past with good. And the third conditional for regrets, where we cannot do anything related to that. Oh, that's so sad. That's a pity with that. But don't worry, those were the different conditionals. They were 4 conditionals that we are going to be using a lot. But you know what? This is not the end for the conditionals, because we are going to be having now how we are going to be mixing them in order to create different meanings, and in order to talk about different situations. But today is Friday, your body knows it, and I'm going to say goodbye today, but we will continue during the next class, okay? Thank you very much for the opportunity. Remember that if you have any question, any situation, let me know and I'm going to be helping you. Thank you for the opportunity. I don't really want to teach you more, but I have only 1 hour. Promise that the next video is going to be easier. See you later, alligators.